I'm going to bring on April Giuliano. April is in Florida, and she's been trying to wholesale for a number of months. She just got into the game. Hey, there you are.
Yep.
I can hear you just fine. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Thanks for jumping on first thing this morning. So you paid 65 grand for a house that's worth 60. Tell us, how did you solve this lady's problem? Tell us all that kind of stuff. And you tell the story the way you want.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure everybody understood the gravity of what you're saying and how powerful this really, really is.
So we were able to work up a deal where we could get her $3,000 in cash. So we offered her $65 for her home. And she thought, I mean, that $3,000 to her was life. So I was able within like 2-3 hours to find a buyer. I mean, he bought a house for $7,000 because he paid the $3,000, the closing costs, and my fee of $3,000. I mean, he bought a house for $7,000, and ARV on that house is $115, $120. I mean, that guy's going to make like 25-30 grand on this house. Second day into the mentorship, I've got 3 more creative financing deals that I found over the weekend that I'm probably going to sign this week. And I'm going to start making money for my family.
Tons and tons of comments on the side. People are just loving on you, and everybody's so proud of you. Go get more deals. Continue to take action. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paige. Thank you so much for having me. Love you guys. Bye.
Welcome to the 25-hour live stream, Mr. DJ Martin. How you doing, brother?
Fabulous. How you doing, man?
Bro, you know me. I'm always crushing it. I'm always hyped. And you took a deal that was in foreclosure, and you are probably the only person that could have structured that deal the way you structured it. We walked you through it. You had Rochelle transaction coordinate for you. Rochelle's my transaction coordinator. Walk us through what your understanding of a novation agreement is, and walk through how you structured it with the seller.
So a novation agreement basically is an agreement between you and the seller where you basically partner up with the seller to flip the property. This particular property in its current condition was probably only worth about $100,000, maybe 105-ish if you stretch it. She owed about 116-ish on it, and was actually in the rears about $9,000, not including the HOA fees. Those was a little bit more, but essentially it wasn't going to work. So we were actually able to offer her 130, so well over what anybody else was able to offer. Was able to actually be able to enough to pay off her loan balance as well as put some money in their pocket.
Like, what did she tell you she was getting in terms of offers?
About that, around the 100 range. And basically what we did is I structured it, and we offered her 130, so she's guaranteed between payoff she'll walk away with about 10,000 in her pocket. In addition to that, if it sells, once I'm going to put $50,000-$60,000 in repairs into it, and then we're going to plan on selling it for around $240,000-$250,000. If it sells for anything over $250,000, I will give you an additional 20% of anything over the $250,000.
What do you think you're going to end up making on this deal?
The sales for what we plan on will probably net around 60.
Oh my gosh. Vinay says, could this have been done with a Subto seller financing hybrid instead of a novation agreement? Yes, it could have been done. Yes. But here's my thought is, why would I have wanted to? The benefit of a novation agreement, for anybody that doesn't know, basically a novation agreement allows you to partner with the seller without having to close escrow and having funding fees, closing costs, all the things associated with closing on a property. So when I buy a property Subto, seller finance, whatever, I have to close escrow. I have to close escrow, and then I have to fund the money to the seller up front, right? And that's what DJ was able to do. DJ was able to structure a deal where he's pushing the foreclosure back. He doesn't have to come up with all the money for the foreclosure. If I bought it Subto or seller finance and I closed escrow, guess what DJ would have had to have done? He would have had to have given the seller cash. He would have had to pay closing costs. He would have had to given the arrears for the mortgage and the arrears for the HOA because the seller's behind on both of those. And then you would have had to pay funding fees and a down payment to a hard money lender to wipe out the seller, all of that would have cost you an extra, I don't know, $40,000, $50,000 in cash above and beyond your renovation cost. So because you used a novation agreement, which is creative financing, you used a novation agreement, you partnered with the seller, and you were able to avoid having to pay the seller all their profit up front. The seller gets paid when you get paid. How freaking cool is that?
Exactly.
Bro,
on top of that, it was able to actually give them money, whereas any other deal, they wouldn't have been able to get any money because the house just wasn't worth it. That's the most important part to me, is being able to help the sellers out of the situations they're in, put them in a better situation, and let them walk away with some money so they don't feel like they lost. Someone that's been living in a house for 7, 8, 9 years, or any amount of time, that have to walk away from their house for nothing, they feel defeated. And be able to help them have a different feeling than that, and to feel like it's a victory, that's a victory to me.
DJ, I appreciate you taking time this morning, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Right. And let's chat about it. So, LaShawn.
Yes. How's it going, guys?
Yo, give us some good news. Give us a deal that you want us to underwrite. This is Jory Alston, primarily focuses on wraps as his exit. And him and I want to bring value to you. So what deal do you have for us to underwrite?
Okay, so this deal here is in Atlanta, and it's a condominium. The ARV is 165. He's asking 150, and he owns it free and clear.
My next question to you is, what does the seller want? And is that seller interested in seller finance?
He wants a 10-year amortization and a 5-year balloon.
He wants a 10-year amortization with a 5-year balloon? Is this at 0%?
Well, we didn't discuss interest rate.
Okay, so maybe the 10-year amortization would work at a 0%, right, Jory, don't you think?
Yeah, 0% will work, but if not, I mean, that amortization and that balloon, aren't factors that we really want to deal with in this deal.
So let's figure this out, LaShawn. What does he want as a down payment?
He wants 25% initially.
Okay, he wants $37,500. What does the house need in terms of repairs? What's the situation with the house?
It's rent ready. He's just got new heat, new fridge. Everything's pretty much new.
Okay, cool. So the house doesn't need to be renovated, and Tino says it's a 0% finance. So Tino is my acquisition manager, and he says that it is a seller finance at 0%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so $37,500 down is a challenge, not so much that it's not a deal. I would do that deal. That's a great return on my money, right? That's a killer return on my money. So let's look at that. $37,500. What does it rent for? What's the rentability on that property?
$1,200, according to PropStream.
So let's figure that out. Jory, you want to figure out what the monthly payment would be on a 10-year? Wow, that's a fast amortization, dude.
It's $937.50 on a 10-year at 0% interest.
Okay, so it's a deal. It's a great return. It's a deal. Here's the exit strategy on that. What do you think the exit strategy would be if the seller was going to get you the $37,500? Before we talk about renegotiating with the seller, let's talk about what could we do if this was absolutely the only way the seller would let the deal go? What would we do with this deal?
If it was me, I would wrap this deal, right? Because the principal and interest payment is $937.50, right? The rent is $1,200 a month. So yeah, there's some room in there, but if you hold it as a rental, you're paying taxes, you're paying insurance, any kind of repairs, anything that happens on that is going to knock down your cash flow. So for me, I would wrap this to another, possibly a homeowner where they could probably get into the property, probably a little bit cheaper than rent, let's say like $1,100 a month, right? So you're making off the bat, $250, around $250 a month in cash flow, right? Which is there. You get into the property at 0% interest, right? I would sell it to a homeowner on a long term with the price marked up, where you can get that 5-year balloon paid off and then have another 15, 20 years of cash flow. But I would not hold it as a rental, because with the rental, you're going to be upside down on your cash flow per month after you take account the taxes, the insurance, and any other expenses.
The biggest challenge with this, Jory, is what? The biggest challenge is
the down payment.
Down payment is $37,500. 25% is a massive down payment.
Yep.
So if we wrap it, right? So we go find a homestead buyer, is what I call it, somebody who's going to live in this as their primary residence. Finding that person with that significant of a down payment is going to be your biggest challenge on this, LaShawn.
I think I can probably get them down to about 10, 15, maybe.
Okay.
If you get them down to 10, 15, I mean, you're in a lot better shape then. At a price, I mean, even at the 150, I mean, 15 is 10%. You know, I would try to get them down to 10% maximum on that.
What do you think, Joe? You think you could find a wrap buyer at 25 grand in the Atlanta area?
I think you definitely can. I mean, the price point where she's at, the ARV is 165, right? You know, I haven't looked into the numbers of it, but even if you just sell it for the ARV and that's 20% down, on a seller financing deal, that's not unheard of, right?
LaShawn, do you have any more questions from my boy, Jory, right now?
No, I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you always asking questions and being persistent.
Cool beans. Have a good one, guys.
Okay, thank you.
All right, LaShawn, good luck.